when I started out doing this stuff, I mean, I'm taking you years back. This is before Instagram Reels was a thing. I started at a time that people would actively look me right in the face and be like, you are doing the wrong thing. One of my music videos I did for a friend on some national television in another country. And I remember once that happened, a couple people that were also being like, no, don't do this. We're kind of like, oh, wait, this might be something.
Welcome to the Creative Chicago podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Badagliacco, and today, very honored to be with the very talented, very skilled, very cool Chicago videographer Max Williams.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me.
Really appreciate you being here. I think it's gonna be a fun time. I know it's been a little bit since we've first connected. We got to see each other in person at one of the Filmmaker Friday events.
Yeah.
Which was a good time. You know, once I found out about you and was looking at your work online, I think what really struck me was just like the range of the portfolio. It's like just like all of these different kind of videos you do. I know you started with like the music performances and kind of branched out from there. You know? But it's like now there's like the weddings, there's like the corporate promos, podcasts, some documentary. It's like there's just such a variety, which is really cool to see, you know, as someone in video myself, you know. So when you were getting your footing with the music side, like did you see yourself kind of branching out like longer term, or were you just locked in at the music at that point?
I did not actually. I thought I was just gonna be locked into music at first, and I would even go around to tell people that were asking advice back then to not do anything else, because I would always make the example and be like, I'd be like, oh, so when you go to McDonald's, you don't see tacos on their menu, and you don't see like a fancy fish sort of dish or something like you go there and you get their burgers and fries. So I was like, I need to be the burgers and fries of video, and to me the burgers and fries was like doing live music and like music videos or something, like staying within the realm of music. And so sometimes people back then would ask me when they were trying to do their thing and be like, well, could I do like music, and should I do like weddings and then do like, you know, some other, and I was like, dude, I was like, people that come to your profile, they want to know like what you're the expert at, so don't do that. It's funny how I once said that and now the tides have turned and now I'm the guy doing it all. And I think each thing I've like spent time individually trying to master, and by proxy of doing music, music is not just a very confined world of people that are just doing music. There's people that, you know, especially when I did So Far early on, I'd be doing them at these unconventional music venues, and people at these places would be doing other projects, other things, and they say, hey, can I have you on this? I really liked working with you on this so far. So it kind of just like by proxy turned into that. And then by early opportunity's sake, I mean, like weddings came along just because, you know, I worked at like way back when I was doing this plus working at a golf course. I saw one of my friends that I skate with that was shooting a wedding, and then I talked to him, and then it just kind of all turned into a big amalgamation. So yeah, I don't think I'd go around giving that same don't do it advice anymore.
Well, I was gonna say, you kind of answered my next question. Do you think it might be like a stage of your career thing, because maybe there is benefits to, like you said, like niching, but it's just like it depends like where you're at. I mean, you said you would not continue to give that advice like for early stage, you know, kind of like get your thing, or should they just take anything and everything? Is it more like the momentum of just finishing projects, or should you kind of know what you stand for?
I mean, I think there's a couple ways to look at it, right? I mean, there is like the portfolio building way to look at it, where, you know, if there is something that truly is your calling, like most people that, you know, maybe people that listen to this or people that are around me, like the first thing that comes to mind, even like yourself, are thinking like music, right? Like that's the first thing that comes into your mind because it's like the thing I started with and the thing I've been around the longest. So that, you know, it was something I built up my profile with online. And when I started to branch out, even though it was just music, there was times where I would even tell people like, I don't even want to really do music videos. And they'd be like, oh no, like, you know, we can totally make it work. Like, I'll just, you know, tell you what shots and blah, blah. And like, then I kind of started to dabble in that a little bit, but I didn't really like publicize it on the internet really. And then I kind of like, lo and behold, like I said, did those weddings, but I actually was in a position where I couldn't publicize that because the company that I worked for just didn't post their stuff online. Rather, I would shoot for them, give raw footage, and they'd give it to the couple. Even though I was doing those things behind the scenes, the thing that I would publicize on the internet was still music. And then once I was like building those things up without publicizing them, then I started to realize like along the way, I was like, okay, I am like good at these other things.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable like sharing it online. And I was really scared. I mean, there were people I was messaging at the time being like, do you think I should post this? Like, I don't know.
Right,
I was a little scared. And I think I one time put up like a photo myself or put up something where I was like, hey, I'm branching off, doing a couple extra things here to let people on social media know like that's, another area of expertise. And I think I found that more work came in. To go back and answer your question, it served me at the time. Just focusing in on one thing to show people like, hey, I am I do make the best burgers and fries in town. And then, now you do tacos too, It's a weird example to use there, but I hope it makes sense.
Yes.
Where it's like, when I see something or see someone, like I took a graphic design class in high school, and I don't know why I remember this is stuck with me forever, but the teacher would always, her name was Sandy. Shout out to Sandy. She'd say something like, to the tune of like, when you see red and yellow, like, what are you thinking? And I remember like everybody at once like blurted out like food.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was, and all of a sudden I started to think, wait, McDonald's, like red and like
the
red.
branding.
Yeah. She kind of like explained it to our graphic design class when we were making graphics, and that resonated with me, and it made me think like, when I see someone, or what am I associating you with? What is
for sure
your thing? I mean, I guess that's kind of how it works in the sense of you want someone to recognize you for what you're...
The go-to thought, right?
Yeah, the go-to, the easy thought. Or if someone's like, well, does he, maybe, if someone's already thinking that, they probably don't want to hire you,
For sure. And I feel like from what you kind of explained, like more of your backstory, maybe there's value in like, if you do want to branch out at some point of like, exactly what you said, like working on it to get it to the level where it needs to be. But it doesn't need to be like every single thing is all published. As it's happening, right? It's like maybe just underworks. There is kind of the difference of like what, I'm going to put out versus like maybe work on like privately. And that's kind of up to each person, maybe in their own kind of like development, I guess. But at least there's that. So,
and I think too, like another important part of that too was, and I remember doing this specifically, like when I would branch out and do other things, like even those weddings that I would shoot back then, like extremely inexpensive. Like,
oh, sure.
And also like, any other thing, I would never like charge a lot. Like I remember I went back at a certain point and looked at what I charged for those things, and like I just had this moment of like, oh my god, and it was almost embarrassing like how little I charged. But I was in all fairness, like it probably worked out well for like the artist, the person I was working with, because I wasn't the like expert. But another thing you have to keep in mind here, why I had a hard time answering this question to begin with, is because when I started out doing this stuff, I mean, I'm taking you years back. This is before Instagram Reels was the thing. This was before
it's changed,
you couldn't even post a 15-second video on Instagram. Like, I started at a time that people would actively look me right in the face and be like, "You are doing the wrong thing. This is not the right thing to do."
You were ahead of your time.
And I mean, I knew other people. Like, I knew a couple other people. I felt like I was ahead of it, but no one really believed in it. I mean, I get into this a whole nother rant. But I mean, early on, like one of my music videos I did for a friend in Wheaton on some national television in another country, and I remember once that happened, a couple people that were also being like, no, don't do this. We're kind of like, oh wait, this might be something.
There might be something there. They got to see the proof and know where it's going to lead, have the whole path laid out, right?
Exactly. And so I think that I give you that kind of reference to tell you that that's kind of the era that I came from.
Sure.
Yeah. And nowadays I feel like coming up and doing a bunch of different things looks different than it did when I was kind of branching out. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like you have there's more of a pathway ahead to kind of put a bunch of things on display, because there's so many videographers out there now. And when I started doing this, I mean, even when I would try doing music videos for people back then, I mean, I was probably one of 6 videographers, if that like people would know.
That yeah, just
Yeah, or like even
crazy.
that I could nowadays search like Chicago videographer on Google and it's like like everyone's the next real guy. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's kind of my long rant on that.
Yeah, I mean you've been in the game for a little bit. I mean it's been it's like 15 years.
I mean,
least, right?
I feel like I've been shooting videos for like I'd say I've probably been shooting videos for like 13 years or something. That was the time that I was watching an insane amount of YouTube, and I followed this guy named Ty's iPhone Help. His name's Ty Moss. So he did a Canon 60D unboxing, and I just remember like looking at my little piggy bank of money I had saved up and watching that video and going like, one day I'll get this camera. I remember I feel like I got it for like $500, like the 60D back then, maybe 600, somewhere around there.
It doesn't seem too bad.
No.
For, your first like real camera,
right? Right. So that was, I remember I watched that, I saw the 60D and then I got it. And then that was when I started shooting stuff on video.
Nice.
Skateboarding videos, in fact.
Yeah, man, there's props to you for like getting in on this like early. Like you might not have known exactly where it's going to lead, but you were like persistent enough to kind of just give it a go and then like stick with it, which is huge. Like
yeah, and it took people for sure. I think it took, I mean, I had a friend I skated with that was the one that got me into doing so far. Shout out my buddy Chris. He was definitely someone that made an impact on what I do early on. I mean, I saw him like filming shows, and he also skated, and I was like, when he brought me along to film that first So Far, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like I didn't realize it was like a whole world.
Yeah.
And once I saw the artists were excited at the prospect of having a live video done, I was like, okay, this could be a thing. This could be something I do. And I remember I went home that very next night, searched like live music videographers on Google. And I saw one person named Vanilla Video or something. And like, I don't know, maybe that person's still in business. I have no idea. I haven't checked into them in a while. But I didn't end up seeing like a live music catalog on their page, but it was listed as a service. And I was like, what if I did and actually listed, like put up videos I do for artists, and then people would be down? And I was right.
That's your green light. Like go ahead at that point, right?
I was right. And so I think I got in the market early. Now, I mean, nowadays, look at it. I mean,
it's changed. Like
you probably know someone else that films music yourself.
Sure.
Like everyone does. Everyone's mom knows somebody that,
But I think the difference that you kind of just touched on right here is like, there can be a lot of people who are claiming to do a lot of things, right? But I think what people notice, hopefully then, is like the people who are sticking with it over the long run, right? It's like who are consistently improving over time and showing up and stuff, right? Because it's like, I guess it just because you have, the FX3 and like a tripod, it's like, are you a videographer then? It's like, there's a difference. It's like, there's a difference between having the equipment and stuff versus like, I actually am excited to be making stuff with this, continuing to see where this goes as like a journey, So it's hard to, I guess, maybe know the difference if like you just see the title, but it's like, who's been sticking in it in the long run,
Exactly. And I still get, yesterday I had a call. Someone called me and this guy said that he was once a videographer, but he really just does like, I think single camera, like work or whatever, but he doesn't really do it anymore. He's like, I want to hire like a creative to actually do the work, and someone with like a bunch of different cameras. And I was like, oh, perfect. And so it's like, there are people that, like you're saying, that do this, but they're not like, they don't feel good enough in their own work to put it out there, where they're like, I want to hire a creative that does it,
to be like known
that like cares about it. Yeah. More than, just like sitting there and going, dude, like,
Yeah, exactly.
So
with you doing this for a long time now, and branching out as you said earlier, like has your process then just like changed over time in terms of like how you just approach like video production in general, or just like how you go about thinking about it, in terms of like the setup and envisioning the end product and shot list? Or is it kind of just like, we have our basic end goal, let's just show up and get what we need?
I think it depends. It's shoot dependent. I think certain things it's changed. There's little things and big things. A big thing that's changed over time for sure is the camera setup. The reason it made me kind of laugh is because I'm also an incredibly stubborn person. So there's things that I refuse to change. But there's things that I also do change. I mean, camera setup, like I said, camera setups are a huge thing. I mean, what I tell you, I mean, I started with a 60D, and then over time, my buddy Chris that got me doing so far with them, he had a C100 at the time, and I was like, oh my god, it's a great camera. And I saved up enough money from like the golf course and then doing SOFARs and things like that to then buy two C100s.
Nice.
And then I had two of those plus my 60D that I'd film shows on. And then I started to kind of like watch more live music stuff, like bigger performances.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is what I like about this shot. This is what I like about that, you know. I started to kind of change how I would film shows, I guess. I like changed positioning, or like if I'd have a second videographer there, it'd be like, hey, you know, I want you to be here instead of there. There's like things like that are little that I've changed.
Just gotta
I
test
think
stuff out, yeah.
Yeah, and I think also another big thing that's changed for me is like how to like market myself and learn
Nice.
how to do you know, just online marketing, learn how to like put myself out there, because I think the old me doing this didn't really care about that, because I was just like, okay, well, I just know people, and you know, like this stuff's not too popular, so
yeah.
why do I have to do marketing? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, why does that even matter? But nowadays with the broad spectrum of people out there, I think it's important to know marketing and to be able to separate yourself through marketing yourself. And so that part of it's changed, I think.
It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, and I think another part of it that's changed is just I'm more consciously thinking about how I am and how I show up around people. I always hate when I hear people say this. It sounds so cheesy. I'm like, shut up. You're not, no, shut up. But it's true. Like, I think more actively about how I am around people, because this is something that, I mean, it branches into like an advice sort of thing, but I've noticed that I'll be at shoots and there's people that will hire me for another shoot of a shoot that I was at that I didn't even really know they were paying attention to me, but they lo and behold were. Like, I'll get calls of someone be like, hey, you know, you did that shoot back in last September. I was in the crowd and I was like what you were doing, and I got your information from, you know, this person who hired you. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You know, it's like, you don't know who's watching you. I think I show up as who I am, no matter what the circumstance is.
Yeah.
But you know, I've heard my share of stories out there, and I've heard stories of people that see someone and they go, I didn't like that guy's vibes. I don't want to be around him anymore. I don't know. That's a bummer to hear, you know. I don't say that to be look at me or none of that. I'm just saying like that is something I've changed, at least of how I've thought about, you know, my overall interaction around everybody and thinking about who might be watching you that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, I think that's something else I've just like paid more attention to over time.
Yeah. It's like as simple as that, kind of what you said, where it's just like, if people know you or think about you, it's like, what is their immediate thought, right? And you just want, and it's exactly what you said. It's like, you don't want to like put up a front, but hopefully just by being authentic and yourself, you can just be a positive, you know, force that people would want to continue to interact with. That's the hope, right? You know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing though too is like the marketing aspect that you said. It's like, I feel like that's almost as important as like the work itself at this point. Like, well, especially with video, obviously it's like, it's going to be online,
Yeah, 100%.
you know, but like even other people, I feel like regardless of what you do, any creative pursuit, it's just like, it's so important to have like this online following, or just like be able to just like share your story and get people like along with it, on board, you know.
I will go on a limb here and give you an opposite thing of what you just said.
Okay.
I don't think your following matters. I think there's a select group of people out there that matters to. The reason I say that is because nowadays, like, people don't really care to follow people anymore. There's so much content and so much reels that, like, and, you know, I've seen a lot of people follow me, like, even recently, and, like, they don't like my stuff, and I don't see them. And it's like, It's a weird thing with reels. I mean, it's like, I look at my analytics, and it's like a 30 to 80% percentile of people.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, that 30% is, or that 80% is people that are not following me. The 30% is. So it's like, it's this weird disparity. So I don't think following really matters. I think what matters is, like, the thing I just said, like, how you show up, how, you know, the execution of your work is. And I don't know, everyone's vibes based, man. That's
true.
If you have good vibes, then people want to, I mean, I'm sure if I had bad vibes when I met you, you wouldn't have had me here. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like, it's how, you know, those are the things in my eyes that matter, at least.
Yeah.
And I think building community around you in real life is just as important. I mean, I know people that do this job that, I've friends with or maybe acquaintances with that, and I get it. Not everyone's as like social.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but I think the social aspect is huge, like in real life for this job, just because like I said, you got to talk to people. Like when I go to gigs, like I'll find a way to talk to somebody else there. Like even if someone's not, a part of my direct shoot, like me on the way out or something, see someone wearing like, I don't know, a shirt that I once had, or I'm just giving you a random example here, but like, I'm like, hey, blah, blah. And then, I saw you shooting the video. Yeah, and blah, blah. And sure enough, that person's hiring you or whatever.
Like you never know.
You have no idea. So
that's crazy.
I think those are the things that really count at the end of the day. I would not even think twice about the following.
I do love what you said about like building like community around yourself too, because I don't even think it's just like a video specific thing. Like I think no matter what you're doing, it's beneficial, right? You don't want like networking to be like an afterthought, It's just like, regardless of career, it's good for you as a person, right? And you want to be able to help people out by through who you know too, as well. And I just feel like it's understated a lot of times, like it's so important.
100%. And I think that it goes a longer way than most people realize or think too. And it's, again, I have to say it because it's not the easiest thing to do. Not everyone's social. Not everyone, finds a way to like meet somebody new or find a way to do this and that. Like I recognize that, right? And I think if you are someone who's antisocial and doing this job, I mean, I would at least focus on building your profile, your like social awareness online at a bare minimum. But I think, again, I think that like face-to-face interaction is like so important. I mean, there's still, I still get emails from people that, I mean, I'll be honest, like sometimes like someone will email me and they'll be like, hey, I'm so and so, like we hung out 7 years ago at when you were doing this shoot or blah blah, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I remember like this person right now. And then all of a sudden I'll have to like go, oh yeah, right. It's like, but it's crazy that like, someone will follow you. Like some of the people that follow me way back then are the people that still see my content, or even if they're not, there's someone that was an acquaintance of someone that was like, oh my God, I had him like 8 years ago on this thing or whatever. And it's just like the time that, elapsed in that time that I had that face-to-face interaction with someone. I'm like, wow.
It just pops up.
Yeah. So I think, community is important. People throw your name around.
Yeah.
People will, they'll be there to support you.
So before we start to kind of wrap up here, one of my kind of final questions was just kind of like, where do you see your own videography business kind of going in the future?
I feel like I have an answer that I think might upset a lot of people, but I think people are expecting to hear me say something to the tune of like, oh, I want to be able to be shooting this, or like, I want to be able to like make this amount of money, or like, I feel like that would be an expected answer. But for me, like, I don't, I put in the work, and I don't like to have this like mindset for some reason of it's going to be this one day. And I know that's like contrary to what a lot of people think. Like a lot of people like, oh, I want to be able to work with this person or that. And I'm like, I kind of take things as they go, and I like to go day by day in it. So I'm really kind of, the most I can think ahead right now is like the next like few days. I can't really think that far in advance. I mean, one thing that I've like always pocketed and like tooled around with is like, I currently do it a little bit, is like I do a lot of like YouTube content, social media stuff. I mean, I've had months where social media has covered bills I've had to pay.
Nice.
And so it's like, I know that I have the capability to do it. So I've kind of pocketed this idea that like one day I'll have my video business and have social media, like consistently doing both of them. And I go in kind of waves of it where it's like I said, I've had months where it's paid it, but I've, over the last month I barely have done any social media. I think I've made like less than $10 over the last month on social media. So that is something that's like a pocketed pipe dream sort of. But I think that's just not an answer that people would expect to hear out of me.
I don't think people wouldn't get mad at that. Like, because I actually love that distinction of like, obviously it helps some people to have that like end goal, this specific outcome, but like it doesn't have to be that way, right? It's like just maybe have a direction set, but then like, you know, keep showing up and just kind of focus on like what, like just the next step, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Like there really isn't, obviously. Like,
and it's, I think the reason why I say it upsets people is because like there's a lot of people that will ask me stuff like they'll be like, oh, do you want to be one of those camera operators that's at like, I don't know, like a Taylor Swift show?
oh,
You
like
know,
the
those,
ambitions, right?
yeah,
Like,
or they'll be like, oh, like, dude, you could totally be like the next filmer for like, you know, name XYZ popular artist or whatever.
For sure.
Or like go on tour with this artist for the rest of your life. And I'm just like, I hear that stuff and like I have the same like look on my face and I'm just like, well, if it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and like for some reason I have this mindset that sort of attitude, and this might just be my own self because I'm incredibly stubborn, but that it sets you up for failure in a way because you have, if you just are locked in on that one thing. I mean, some people can do that. Good for you if that's you. Great, have at it. You know, it's cool that you've got your own mind, but for me, it's like I'm just thinking about the next few days ahead, and you know, there's been some really cool artists I've worked with for sure, and there's people that I've worked with that I didn't ever imagine I'd work with, but I wasn't sitting there going, one day, I hope to, you know, it never crossed my mind, not even once for a second.
It's like it's managing expectations for yourself, you know. So
yeah, and I think I just want to be able to have the right productive output at the end of the day and go project by project and see where it takes me. And if it takes me somewhere, then it does. Great. And, you know, that's why we think about other projects on the other side of it. So, you know, in the long haul, I want to keep shooting videos. Yes, 100%. I mean, that should be a given, I think. I don't think I have the mindset of, I'm never doing video at age 50. I'm cutting it loose.
Career switch, right?
Yeah, like, I'm just going to keep going and see where it takes me. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad answer to that question.
Nah. I was gonna say I love that. I think that's great. Last question. Is what would you say to the creative community of Chicago?
One thing that I always say, I mean, I stress it all the time: be normal. Like, it's the easiest thing you can do. Be normal. Like, if I don't know the amount of people that if they heard some of the things, some of the stories I've been told about how people have been treated within the local creative space. I've heard some just horrendous stories of creatives that have treated, you know, this artist this way, or they've said this thing to this person. I'm like, man, it's just be normal. Like, do your job, be normal, like, be nice. Yeah, just it's the easiest thing you can do, man. It doesn't take a lot to be normal.
Let's be professional and have some respect, right? That's what it comes down to. Some good baselines here.
And I think that is a more generalized answer for people that are within the space. I mean, who doesn't love being around people that treat them also with respect? It sounds weird saying that out loud, but it's like, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised. Also, too, like being human in this space, I think, goes a long way. And sometimes I see people get caught up in the mindset of, oh, I'm just like a business guy that they choose to be around. And that's, you know, I try to like humanize. I guess maybe this answers part of your question earlier too, is like, I still try to be myself within being the business person that I am. Sure. Because like at the end of the day, it makes people more comfortable if you are more than just the guy with the camera there. You get me? Like, that's why I mentioned vibes earlier. It's like, if you're someone they feel comfortable being around, then, you know, I don't know, maybe they're gonna like later on they'll have some event going on. Hey, come out to my event, or hey, my birthday party is going on here. I'm having a few, you know, people come on out for this or whatever, and stuff like that. And, you know, I think when you get those sorts of invites or those sorts of, hey, you know, I'm doing this little show with 50 people. You're one of the people I invited, whatever. It makes, you know, you realize like, okay, these people do see you also as humans. So you've portrayed you've like truly been yourself around them outside of just like, camera, give me money. All right, see ya.
The persona, right?
Yeah.
The role and stuff.
Yeah, and I just, you know, be more than just that singular artist or creative or video or photo person.
Sure. Like,
be yourself. Treat everyone with respect. Be nice. Be normal, and people will be susceptible to that. And you'll be a fun person to be around, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time and the insights.
Thanks for
all of the learnings you've had.
Dig it. Well, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, appreciate
Appreciate it. Hell yeah.
Let's go.
All right.